This is High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Hour 1 in the books, now hour 2 here on High School Sports Talk as we are getting ready for state championship games coming up this week. Wednesday is Class 6 and Class 5. Thursday is Class 4 and Class 3. And next Saturday, the 9th of March, is Class 2 and Class 1. And a guy hoping to be playing on Wednesday in the Class 5 state championship, but they got a big one coming up on Monday at Norview High School against the defending state champs in Verona. The Maury Commodores victorious last night in the state quarterfinals over perennial Richmond Power LC Bird 50-42. And joining us now on the show, Ed, is the head boys basketball coach in year 2 at the helm of the Maury Commodores. He is the Eastern District Coach of the Year and the Region 5A Coach of the Year. We say good morning and congrats to Brandon Plummer. Coach, how you feeling this morning?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good, man. A little tired, but feeling pretty good.
Hey, this time of year there's no time for rest, right?
That's right about that. You're right about that.
Well, tell me about last night's ball game against LC Bird. Many of us in the media all year had talked about Verona and Bird. They could meet 3 or 4 times this year. It could be the two teams that are essentially playing in the state championship. But I think your kids relish the opportunity of having them come to the 757. As we talked about a couple weeks ago, the 804 has been given the 757 some beatings in a lot of sports, football, basketball, and last night a chance for some revenge, huh?
Yes, it was. And, my guys, they just took on the challenge. And, the other day when we played against Green Run, we wanted to win the region. But, I told the guys, we're not trying to take that ride to Richmond. We want those guys to come here, and we got a great opportunity, to have a team come down here and play us.
Yeah, how important was that, going back to that, the region championship game? First off, before we even get to that, semifinal game against Norview, an Eastern District rival. You had to play 3 times to games that went down to 5 points or less this year, so you're probably glad you were done with them to escape there last Saturday night at the Scope. You win the region championship. People always say when you're in the championship game, it's not as relevant a game, but it was important from the standpoint of not having to go to Richmond like Green Run did last night against Verona, and now you get Verona on your turf, right?
Yes, we do, and I can't wait for that game. It's gonna be a great game, man. They're a great team, like you said, defending state champs. They got some great ball players, that can do a lot of good things. But I feel like we match up with them pretty well. I'm just my guys are just ready to get it on.
Yeah, at 6 players on Verona's roster averaging between 7.7 and 14.4 points per game. A very balanced attack, much like Maury Squad is, Ed.
Yeah, Brandon, Ed Young here, and congrats to getting to this point so far. And I know you got a lot more work to do, and tall task with the defending champion. I had a chance to play them in team camp at CNU this summer, and they were missing a kid or two, and I was very impressed with that ball club, and they won 46 of the last 47. But then again, you got some kids too that have shown very brightly. Let's talk about your squad and mention whoever you want to mention.
Well, it starts off with my point guard, my floor general, Chase Coleman. Very, very solid point guard. I know a lot of teams, where a lot of coaches, they talk about him scoring the ball and not scoring the ball a lot and being aggressive. I mean, Chase is just doing what I asked him to do. It is a plus when he is being aggressive and scoring the ball at times, but Chase is really in control of the team. And, he knows when to settle the game down and, put people in position. Man, he's just a real floor general. And, my other guard, Brian Phillips, that's my pit bull. That's what I call him. That's my pit bull. So when it's time to, really pick up the tempo, that's who we know we need to go to. But, these last few games, my bigs have been stepping up real big. And it's definitely Clarence Rupert. From where he was at last year to the point that he's at now, I mean, he's just taking everything that myself and my coaching staff, he's just taking it in stride and just working. He understands it's just all about hard work. And, man, those guys, man, they have really grown together.
Yeah, very balanced attack for Maury with the likes of Coleman, Phillips, Rupert, Menzia, and others. We're talking with Brandon Plummer. He is the second-year head boys basketball coach of the Maury Commodores. Our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Get ready for a showdown coming up on Monday night at Norview High School as the Commodores take on the 24-1 Verona Blue Devils, defending state champs. It's ESPN Radio 94.1, Ed.
Hey, Brandon, I also want to get back one more question I wanted to ask you off that last one. Who is that one guy? I asked Coach Sutton from Deep Creek with the girls. Not getting a lot of ink, but you and the staff know if it wasn't for this kid, we probably may not be here. Do you have somebody in mind?
Are we talking about somebody off my team? Like,
Yes. Off your squad. Is that one guy maybe not getting the headlines like some of your other key players are?
Oh, my kid Desmond Wright, and Cory Hollis. Desmond Wright, we call him DJ. Comes off the bench. I mean, he's a real energy guy. You know, he's a real big spark for us because, you know, he can knock down some shots when he's open, and on the defensive end, he's a guy that's going to get all up in you. Not the biggest guy. He's not the biggest guy, but you know, he has a big heart. He has a big heart. You know, he's like a lion to me in my eyes. And Cory Hollis, my other forward, you know, he hits the glass pretty hard. And, you know, I just appreciate that about him because, like you said, those things that don't show up in the paper, the dirty work, you know, and you got to have some guys that's willing to do the dirty work, and it doesn't matter.
Brandon, another thing I wanted to ask you, of course, we all know that you were a pretty good player at Booker T. In fact, I'm still mad at you because I think when you all crushed us, I think you dropped 14 on us and I think 10 rebounds, and you shot the pistols at me as you went by and hit that.
He didn't do that.
Now, Brandon does that stuff. When he was younger, he was crazy. Remember, he jumped up on a table and almost broke your computer.
He
Remember
did
that?
almost do that. I did tell him
See,
about
he's
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
When he was younger, he's crazy.
But he was in the moment, Ed.
I showed my guys that film the other day, the championship game the other day. I said, look at me on the table. I said, Hatfield always talk about that. I almost broke his computer.
Well, listen, you got the money now. You could have bought me a new one. So
yeah, I could have bought you a new one now.
But Brandon, the thing I want to ask is, you know, it's year 2 for you. And, of course, you replaced a guy around here everybody knows, Jack Baker, Hall of Famer, multi-win guy every year. How was that? You know, now that you're in year 2, going through that, the difference between year 1, taking over, year 1, getting through, and now you got the opportunity to play for state title. Talk about that situation.
Man, it's unreal. It's unreal. And I told Coach Baker the other day, you know, I was joking with him. I said, you ain't telling me it was this hard. You know, he started laughing. I said, man, I just said, thank you, man, for believing in me and trusting me with your program. And, I mean, he just, you know, when we talked to each other, he just looked like a proud father, you know. And I appreciate everything that he has done for me, you know, the talks that we've had, you know, some of the wisdom that he's given me. And I'm just thankful for it. But to be in the position that we are in now, and, you know, I really feel like we can get it done, you know, and get that first one ever. It's ecstatic, man.
Well, and another thing I got to piggyback this on, and we just kidded about you being a player, and you were a pretty good player. Now, that's being serious. But you played for a guy, Darren Sanderlin. So you played for 2 very distinct different coaches, both winners, but they did it different ways. Talk a little bit about playing for Darren, and I don't think he's listening, so you can open up on a couple crazy Darren stories.
Yeah. It was funny because he came to the game last night, and I know him. He has never worn his state championship jacket, never. And he came through the gym yesterday, and he had that jacket on. I said, uh-oh, he in the game with me. And so, man, I mean, just playing for him and being able to, you know, coach beside him and learn so much from him, not just, you know, about basketball, but just being a man. And the things that he taught me that I can instill in my guys has really helped out a whole lot. And I can recall, you know, around this time when I was playing, you know, he just told us just to believe. Like, everything you just got to believe, you know, because at this point it's just all about execution. You know, it ain't too many about X's and O's and all that. It's just executing and who wanted the most. And you got to make your free throws and, you know, and decrease your turnovers. But, you know, between him and Bate, you know, playing for, you know, in my eyes, 2 Hall of Fame coaches. I mean, with Coach Bate already being a Hall of Fame coach, fan. I just feel like, the way they prepare is pretty much the same, and it's just, they just instilled it in me a whole lot to make me, a good coach that I am.
And you mentioned free throws, 2 enormous ones from Clarence Rupert last Saturday with 2 seconds to go against Norview. We're chatting with Brandon Plummer, head boys basketball coach, the Maury Commodores. A couple minutes left for him here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1 as they get set for a state semifinal matchup against the reigning state champs of Verona coming up on Monday night, 7 o'clock at Norview High School. Commodores trying to win their first state title since the 1920s, 1927. And, Coach, how much of an advantage is this for you being someone where you can relate with these kids? Right, I've been in these moments, these situations, going back to your Booker T team with Miles Holly and Antoine Perry and that crew in 2006. You had a great comeback against Maury, then you lost, I think, later to Wilson, but you went on that magical tournament run, beating Scotty Reynolds and company in championship. And this year's team, you had that 21-point lead against Granby, and it felt like a defining moment looking back on it. A lot of people thought, all right, Maury, they can't turn the corner. But since then, you've had a different laser focus. What have you talked about with the guys kind of during this journey here?
I told my guys, with every season, it's a process. It's a journey, and you have to enjoy the journey. Yeah, everybody wants to go undefeated, but how often does that really happen? And so you live and you learn. You take those moments, you take those losses, and you grow from them. So now, later on in the season, you don't have to worry about those situations. And our focus had to pick up a little bit more. That's what was worrying me about my team in the beginning was our focus. A lot of those guys, at first they really couldn't see themselves becoming champions, like all the way, standing at the top at the end. But the more we played and the more, we started seeing our weaknesses and turning them into our strengths, the guys really started believing in themselves, and they started accepting everything that myself and my coaching staff was saying. And so once everybody accepted their role, accepted being subbed out or we giving you constructive criticism, once they accepted that, man, we just took off from there.
Brandon, I'm assuming you've already seen some film on Verona. What do they present that's a little different than what you faced, let's say, even against Bird or in the regionals against, even Green Run or Norview? Much different. I know you alluded to the fact earlier, hey, it's about just executing right now. You just got to do what you're supposed to be doing. What do you see in Verona?
They're a solid team. They're a solid team at pretty much every position. They got shooters. They got guys that that can hit the glass very hard. What I see very well with them is that they make adjustments. They don't get rattled. They don't get rattled a lot. So it doesn't. Whatever you go to, if you try to press them, I feel like you may get a few turnovers, but like I said, they don't get rattled, and they make adjustments. So when it comes to our game preparation, we got to make sure we on the same page with whatever defenses that we in. But we have to meet them. We have to meet them at the glass because they get a lot of offensive rebounds. So we got to be able to hold them to one shot.
Well, it should be Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah. And I know they don't really go too deep on their bench. I've seen and noticed that a whole lot. So we, as hard as my guys go and we go to the basket, I feel like we can get them in a little foul trouble. We may have a real strong opportunity to pull away.
Yeah, and your benches that stepped up here in this postseason, you mentioned some names like DJ Wright and Hollis and obviously Keyshawn Thompson. So it should be a fun battle coming up on Monday night. Looking forward to it. The Maury Commodores taking on the defending state champion Verona Blue Devils. Get on over to Norview High School on Monday, 7 o'clock. If you're a local 757 Hoops fan or a Maury alum, Maury fan, go out there and support the Commodores. 2 wins away from a state championship. Coach, we wish you all the best coming up on Monday. Hope to see you again on Wednesday, and we'll be there for you, all right?
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Good luck, Brandon.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Coach Brandon Plummer of the Maury Commodores, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. And we've talked about it before in regards to football, following up legends. You go back to the days that Phoebus, Bill D, passed away, and then went to Oscar Smith after Rich Morgan and the job Scott Johnson had to do after following him. Following Jack Baker is no small, easy task. For years, people said, I don't want to be the guy to follow that guy. Brandon Plummer's got them now 2 wins away from a place in history. And winning the program's first state title in 92 years. That's a long time.
That's
my gosh.
But Brandon taking over, I think, instantly in 2 years, he's brought in good credibility to himself, which he had anyways. He played for Darren, coached under Jack. But I think right now that, he's got this team where it is right now. They got one win away from playing for a state title. I think he has put his thumbprint on this team. He had it on it already. Don't forget now, he was the assistant there. He wasn't somebody that came out of nowhere and was hired. He knew the situation. He knew what he was facing. I think he's handled it with a tremendous amount of grace and respect towards Jack and the program. And the credit he's getting, he is absolutely worthy of it.
And let me tell you something. There's only going to be 12 teams, 6 on the boys' side, 6 on the girls, that are happy at the end of the year with the state championship, but with the last game that is happy. You get out of class, and this is meant as no, knock to other divisions, but Class 5, you're in it every year. It is just a meat grinder. There's about 12 to 15 teams that could very well be there at the end. So it's hard in every level. It's like put the Madden video game sliders to like all pro, all Madden mode. It's super hard in the Division 5 ranks for basketball.
Yeah, I don't really. I look around, but I don't look around. I have to concentrate on us and who our next opponent is. And if we ever get deep like this year, we able to get into the regional. You've got to really know about some of those other teams. But there's so many that you have to kind of keep tabs on and notes on all year because if your program is worthy of that, you're going to move on. You're going to do some early homework. And for Region 5, it's a whole lot of homework.
There's more to do here on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Give us a call at 757-687-9494, only on ESPN Radio 94.1.